So I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Oscar Morales. I am a sophomore in mechanical engineering from Dallas, Texas. And I've been doing CAD for about 4 to 5 years. It's something that I'm really passionate about, and it's what kind of drove me to study engineering. It's what makes me so passionate about it. And alongside, I have 4 wonderful guys who are helping me out on this course, so I'm going to let them introduce themselves as well.
Hey guys, I'm Rishi. I'm from Dubai. I'm also a sophomore in ME, and I have about 2 years of CAD experience. I took this class over the summer and really enjoyed it, and I became part of the SME and then overall became a TA for this class.
Hi, I'm Shane. I'm a sophomore in ME, minoring in ECE. I've been doing CAD since high school, freshman year of high school, and have been really loving it since. I'm glad to be here teaching you guys all the fundamentals through Fusion 360 and teach you just throughout these next 5 weeks.
Hello, I'm Colby Goldman. I'm a freshman in FYE. I have 2.5 years of experience, almost only with Fusion 360. It's probably my favorite CAD program, just because I think it's really nice and user-friendly.
Hello, I'm Andrew. I'm a FYE transfer student, and yeah, I've been CADing for around 6 years now, and I'm really happy to teach you guys.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to these next slides. So just to give you a bit of an introduction as to what's been going on here, right? So this is a milestone certification course, right? You complete the course, you're gonna get a certificate at the end, right? It works similar to like a course here at Purdue. You get a grade, but it's more of like a club, right? It doesn't show up in your transcript. If you fail the class, you don't end up completing it. Nobody knows, right? This is just exclusively in this room. So we're gonna come here every Wednesday, and we're gonna lecture a little bit, right? We're gonna show you some cool tools for Fusion, right? So Fusion is a CAD program, and it enables you to basically model any 3D object on a computer. And an analogy that they use in CGT 163, many of you have taken that class, is we're gonna be teaching you tools and allowing you to put those tools in your tool belt, right? So whenever you come to model a thing, there are multiple approaches that you can take to model that thing. And the more ways that we show you to get to an end result, right, you're gonna be able to become a more competent CADer as you kind of understand this bigger, more holistic idea of what the program is, right? So we're gonna come into this class, we're gonna lecture a little bit about some tools, and every week we're gonna have some assignments. So we'll walk you through the assignments, right? You're gonna find out that CAD, it's more so like soft skill, right? This isn't a concrete class like a calculus or a thermodynamics. It's more so like learning to draw or learning to cook, right? There really is no wrong way to do it, but there are definitely better ways. So you'll find the way that you like to do things. Whenever we do examples in this class, I'm going to show you the way that I like to do things. You can choose to follow my directions, or you can completely disregard them if you like, and do them the way that you like. That's totally cool, right? So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to download Fusion. It takes quite a while to download, as there are about 60, 70 of you. So while it's downloading, we'll quickly burn through our syllabus. It's kind of boring stuff, but we have to go through it so you know what we're doing here. And then we're going to jump straight into some assignments, right? We'll show you some tools. I'll do a live demo right in front of you, and then we'll give you a little bit of time to kind of pair it, and you can do the assignment immediately after me, maybe 10, 15 minutes. And then we're probably gonna not use the whole 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half, hour 45. And then the end of class is always gonna be like a workshop. So if you wanna go, you can go. But if you wanna stay around, right, that's really where we all come into play. You can raise your hand, call us over, right? This is not so much a concrete thing. You're learning through experience. So that's where we come in. You call us over, you tell us what problem you're having, and we can kind of guide you in the right direction on how to solve all of these things. And then to end off, right, we're gonna have a homework assignment. This course really isn't that intensive. It's pretty much like a 0 credit hour class. Chances are you're gonna finish everything in the 2 hours. If you have work to do outside of it, it's gonna be 30, 45 minutes, right? Nothing really big on your time commitments, right? So we're gonna start with downloading Fusion 360. What I'm gonna say is, I wanna make sure everybody here is in the Slack. Our Slack is gonna operate like our Brightspace or our Gradescope. It's gonna be everything. It's gonna be our big hub. This is where I'm gonna send you information every week. This is where your attendance form is. So I'm going to say that right now, right? We have 5 weeks. We are requiring perfect attendance, but that does count for virtual. So every week we'll send out this big information or this big post with all the information for the week. So if you haven't seen it already, or if you're not on the Slack, right, go check any of my emails. You can join it like that. If you are on the Slack, in our course material form, right, that's going to be your attendance submission, and that's also going to be your assignment submission. So you're going to record your attendance, 2 questions, and then whenever you're done with your assignments, that's where you submit them. The slides that we're covering today in class, there's a copy of them in there for you as well. And then there's also a copy of the rubric, right? We're going to be grading you guys' stuff and giving you a grade back. So that there's no surprises. We tell you exactly what you're being graded on, right? This course is not difficult. Very, very, very straightforward. If it makes the class too hard for you guys, it's hard for us because we have to grade all of it. So we have this nice little median of just getting you guys to learn the stuff, but not making it too difficult. So back to the Slack. One of the messages in there is a zip for Fusion 360. So I'm going to ask you guys all to download that to your computer. So right, we're here to learn CAD, and CAD is kind of like programming. There's multiple languages. For this class, we're exclusively using Fusion 360, so please do not use SolidWorks, don't use NX. This is what we're asking you to use and submit all your assignments in. So why Fusion 360? Fusion is a really great beginner's program, right? This is a beginner's course. It's super user-friendly and very, very straightforward, super good to learn on. CAD software is very, very expensive. Licenses can cost thousands to tens of thousands. And the cool thing about Fusion is with an education email, you get it completely for free. So you're saving yourself a couple grand out of pocket getting this program for free. It's super user-friendly, and the best thing is it's cloud-based. So if any of you have bad computers, I've seen people run this on Chromebooks before, right? It requires very little processing power from your computer. It's such a super friendly option to start off and use. Okay, so we're gonna do 2 things here, right? We gotta download Fusion. The first thing is you need to download that zip file, right? Those are the downloaders for Fusion. There's one for Mac and there's one for Windows. So go ahead, download that zip to your computer, and then open up the proper wizard for whichever operating system you have. And the other part is gonna be doing exactly what you see up here. I'm gonna let this GIF keep replaying. You're gonna go into your internet and you're gonna type in Fusion 360 for educational institutions, and you're going to go to Get Me Started, and you're going to start to create your account. Right? This is the complicated part. This is what you need to pay attention to. Actually downloading the program is very straightforward. Setting up your account is a little bit complicated, so make sure you follow these steps pretty well. And again, these slides are sent out, so if you can't follow what I'm saying, these are all right here. So again, you want to go to this website. This is Fusion 360 for educational institutions. Click on the top link, and then you want to go to Get Fusion 360. So from there, you're going to get very generic prompts, right? Name, date of birth, nothing really too crucial. What I do want to say is do not use your personal email, right? As I said, this is a very, very expensive software. None of you need to be paying out of pocket for this. When it asks you for your email, put in your Purdue email. It's going to send them an override, and you're going to be able to get a free account without any cost. So again, you can see the process, right? It asks you for your email. You're going to put your email in, and then it's going to realize it's an education email, and then just follow the rest of the steps. Put student whenever you're going to graduate, and then make sure you put university for that drop box. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Like I said, it's kind of complicated. We always run into issues because there's always that one person that doesn't listen. You need to make sure you use your Purdue email. If not, you're going to have a big, big difficulty. This part takes forever. So you're setting up your account on the internet, right? You just want to make your account. Make sure you use your Purdue email. Some of you are going to run into an unfortunate wall. A random selection of you are going to be sent to a 2-step factor authentication. It's pretty much random. It's going to be like 10% of you are going to get it. If you get this message basically saying, like, we need you to verify your account, you can pull out your phone, snap a picture of your ID, submit it in. It's going to get verified by a live person. They're pretty fast. Sometimes it takes 30 seconds. Sometimes it takes a minute. So that's the only catch. Other than that, I think you guys can follow the basic prompts on your screen. And then once you set up your account, again, go to that downloader and download Fusion. This is gonna be probably the longest, boring, most difficult part of today's class. So we're gonna set aside about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to kind of help walk you guys through this. So maybe start walking around to make sure everyone's doing fine. Yeah, there's tons in here. I know the ones against the wall have them, so you have to move them so big. But yeah, maybe these don't. Yeah, I like it. And then just a disclaimer, if any of you need to charge your laptop, the desks against the wall all have outlets. The ones in the middle don't. So just giving you a heads up. If you guys want to get up and move around, go for it. It's not bothering me. Alright, so we're walking around making sure everyone's downloading Fusion properly. I want to make this announcement now. This time is your guys' just as much as it is ours. So if you're sitting around and you have no clue what to do, obviously, I mean, the first thing I'm going to say is work on the assignments for the class and the homework. But if you're waiting for our instruction, you know, this is your time. So if you want to sit around and do another class's homework or anything to pass the time, doesn't bother us. 2 hours are yours. Use it wisely if you. And then additionally, I'm noticing some people have already gotten Fusion downloaded and are working on the assignments. So we always have a big skill gap here in the class. We have like this almost like bimodal distribution of half the class knowing nothing about CAD and the other half knowing a lot about CAD. So if you come to class and you're able to knock out the sessions within 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and I'm still talking, again, the time is yours. So if you finish early and you want to go, you can stand up and leave, right? Doesn't make us any different, right? We're here to help the people that want to learn, and if you don't need to learn because you already know it, right, you're more than welcome to just go. That's a lie. They're working. You just have to keep this as a connection. Let me know if you start to not gonna go. So since most of you are just waiting for it to download or almost ready to download, I'm going to burn through the syllabus, right? So this isn't really, it is important, but as for the course, if you're just waiting around, right, you can just listen to this in the background, or you can look up to the slides and see what we're talking about. Right, so as I said earlier, this is a milestones course. So exactly what is milestones? This is a new division here at Purdue that opened up a couple years ago that works on supplementing coursework, right? So it's a series of skill-based workshops meant to teach you side skills for engineering. Upon successful completion, right, you're gonna get a certificate. So if you go to my LinkedIn, I actually have it attached down there. So if you want to see what it looks like, that's what it looks like, right? It's just a cool little certificate saying, from Purdue, you're certified in CAD training / 3D printing. And then for you guys being a spring semester, it takes a while for them to get processed. So you can probably expect the certificate about the early part of summer. And so what are our goals for this class, right? What do we want to teach you in the 5 weeks? Our goals are to understand from a very basic level and kind of a ground up level the importance of CAD and how to use CAD. Through our final project, we'll get into the syllabus, right? We'll show you what we're going to do through the 5 weeks. We want to teach you necessary tools to pretty much make any basic shape and along how to render models for good professional presentation. So the last slide, I talked about milestones, right? So this course is ran through a partnership. Milestones is the Purdue office that kind of facilitates all of this, and it's actually ran by a student organization that I, myself, and all the 4 leads are a part of. So we have 2 main divisions in this room. About 80% of you signed up for this class through Milestones, and a good chunk of you signed up through our organization, ASME. So if you're already in our organization, you can probably ignore this. It looks like our pitch has already worked, considering that you're in our club. But if not, just allow me to tell you a little bit about ourselves. So we are Purdue ASME. This stands for the American Society of Mechanical Engineers. And we have 2 main goals on campus, and that is to prepare our members for success in the industry and to land you your dream internship. So how do we plan on doing that? So you may be wondering why an organization like us is running a CAD training course. And when we first started this organization, we would run lots of design teams. And we ran across this issue of a lot of students not knowing how to CAD. So we developed this side team called CAD Training, and soon we got assimilated into Milestones, and now we run this big partnership program. So if any of you want to put your CAD experience into play, right, actually put it into real life aspects, maybe build something for your resume or for your LinkedIn, right, we have lots of design teams that allow you to design real things. So we have stuff as small projects. Last semester, they did a battle box competition. I think right now they're doing projectiles, like Nerf guns and stuff like that. We have sports equipment. So if any of you want to design your own sports equipment, like ping pong paddles, lacrosse sticks, stuff like that. We have a sustainability team that's looking to develop some better way to transfer waters for underdeveloped areas. We have a Rube Goldberg team. And then we have some more, such as prosthetics, which is looking to develop a hand for this man, which is a family member of one of our exec team members. And then we have some hydroponics, which partners with Epics, which is looking to develop better ways to circulate water. And then we have our brand new Grand Prix team, right? So there's a lot. Our organization is this big blanket that covers lots of individual things around Purdue. So if any of you are interested, again, we're gonna be teaching you CAD. We've had people kind of tell us at the end of the course, okay, so I know CAD, now what? This is where you can go and actually apply those skills. And alongside, we have lots of professional development opportunities. So how to build your resume, how to do a interview pitch, things like that, right? Like I said, this big blanket organization that covers lots and lots of things, and other things such as company connections. So if any of you are interested in joining our organization, you want to put CAD into use, this is a QR code for our Slack. Again, these are all in the slides posted, but since we run this program, just thought I'd do a little bit of a shameless plug to let you know what we are about and why we do this. So just want to get a quick raise of hands. Is anybody still not able to download Fusion? You're staring at either a blank screen or you still have the downloader running at this per second. Can I get a raise of hands? Okay, that's a lot. Okay, we'll wait. We'll wait like 5 to 10 more minutes. Okay, sweet. You're all good. And we'll post this lecture online, so just finish it whenever you
Just
can.
know how I have to take a screenshot exactly and put it on.
So yeah, you can use your snipping tool on the computer
Yeah,
and just
okay.
grab the entire
Because
screen.
on the slides, I think it said add it to one file or something like that. Do we have to do that?
Yeah, so for each assignment, you can just use your snipping tool, right? Get the whole screen and then post that on a Word document. So you'll do that for assignment 1, and then you do the same thing for assignment 2. So put all the screenshots on one Word document, save it to PDF, and then you turn that
And
in.
the first one where there's like a cube, cylinder, and the other thing, all of that's on one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. See you. Okay. Okay, so there's actually a few more slides that I forgot about before we get into the bulk of the course, right? So the actual demos. So again, I'll just go through these. Again, this is a 5-lecture course. This first one's going to be the intro to CAD and basic skills, but honestly, most of it is just downloading Fusion because of how much of a pain it is. The next one is going to go into intermediate CAD skills. And then our third session is where the course really takes a turn. If you're going to come to any of the sessions, I'd recommend the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, right? The difficulty kind of scales exponentially. So the third one, we're going to be talking about creative design approach, rendering, and we're going to be doing previous projects from other people's classes to kind of see the design approach for making these big final projects. And then your 4th class is going to be about 3D printing and then working on your final project. I'll get into that on the next slides. And the 5th course is exclusively about 3D printing. I know this is CAD training / 3D printing, but the way that I always explain to people is 3D printers are they're evolving very, very rapidly, and they've become so optimized and self-sufficient that it's no more complicated than like running the dishwasher or a laundry machine, right? You just need to understand what buttons to push to get your stuff to print. So for a 5-week course, we only have one session dedicated to it, and that's because it really is very simple. Once you understand kind of like what goes into CAD, you'll see how simple 3D printing is. It's very daunting, but I think we do a pretty good job of breaking it down and kind of giving you the basics to just about run any 3D printer, right? So here's our assignment submission schedule. Every week, we're gonna have in-class assignments alongside with the homework. We give you guys a full week to complete the assignments, right? These assignments don't take more than 30, 45 minutes, and we have a hard deadline of turning them in before the next class, right? So you have a full 7 days to turn in the assignments. Once this class starts, we're gonna close up the submissions and we're gonna start grading them back here. So unfortunately, we can't really give any extensions, but like I said, the assignments are so simple and straightforward, there really should be no complexity or issue with having to complete them. So today's assignments are gonna be due on the 8th. You have 3 of them along with your first homework. And then week 2 is gonna be on the 15th. We have a week off for spring break. And then week 3 is gonna be due on the 29th. And then as you can see, your final project is gonna be due the 5th of April, and then our last session is just the 12th. So in total, this is what the course looks like. It's a total of 300 points. So today we're gonna cover 50 of them. We're gonna be making some basic shapes, a hammer, a game piece. We're gonna work on your first homework assignment, which is making a chair. Week 2, we're gonna get into the bulk of the Fusion tools. So we'll show you how to make a gear using a lot of cool tools in Fusion. We're gonna be making this big hair dryer, which uses a lot of tools. And then that assignment is gonna be using constraints to make a sketch. Week 3 is when we dive into other people's projects. So we're going to talk about assemblies, and we're going to make a Lego car. So we'll provide you a zip file full of tons of Legos, and then you can just put them together and make a Lego car. Then we're going to be using the form tool, which works pretty similar to like Play-Doh. You drop a ball of mass on your screen, and you're able to pinch, pull, slide, rotate. And we're going to play with this until we're able to get the airplane. And then we're going to be making the engineering balance. And that last homework assignment is going to be a lot more complex of Lego assembly. And then week 4 is going to be your final project. So this is your requirement for the class. If you want to know what we expect from you, you need at least a 70 to pass the class, right? This is either pass or fail. All right, again, doesn't go in your transcript. This is completely separate. It works pretty similar to a club. So to pass the class and get the certificate, you need above a 70, which is at least 210 points obtained through all the assignments. And then of course, we're gonna require perfect attendance, but that really isn't too daunting in itself, considering that we offer you a full week to turn in your attendance, right? You can watch the video at your own time, whenever. And then here is the big course project. All right, so we're gonna spend the first 3 weeks teaching you the basics of Fusion, and on this 4th week, we're gonna start your final project. So our goal is to create any CAD model from scratch, right? It can be anything, so long as it's not something that we've done in class. So it can't be like a game piece, it can't be the engineering file, it can't be a plane. We make those already in class. And you have to use at least 3 design features, right? So the bare minimum for the project is very simple. We've had people turn in stuff that looks like it probably took them 5 minutes. We have people who look like they've probably spent 2 to 3 hours, right? So this is kind of your graduation project for this class, right? What you get out of this course, without you really needing a concrete grade, right, it being pass or fail, what you get out of this course is what you're willing to put into the course, right? So the final project itself is very simple, but if you're really passionate about this and you really want to learn, you'll see lots and lots of growth through the course. So these are some of the better projects that we've had before in the past. The Starship was submitted just about a couple days ago. We just finished up our last session. So that somebody made a Starship from scratch. Somebody made the arc reactor from Iron Man. We had another person make the drum from obviously here. And then we have a Lego R2-D2. These look amazing. And honestly, it surprises me that these were even made in CAD because of how well they were done. And I'm gonna go, yeah, that's it. So yeah, so the final project is 3 parts. First, you're gonna make the part, you're gonna make your project, and then we're gonna render it. Every CAD program kind of has their own specialty, and one thing Fusion does really well is their kind of graphics design slash rendering. So there's a tab that allows you to take your CAD model and render them to super high quality 4K, 8K images. They look way better on public presentations or formal presentations than just cruddy screenshots do. So we're gonna show you how to do that, right? It really allows you to showcase your designs. And then we're gonna be doing a 3D printing element to the final project. Does anybody still have issues with downloading Fusion? Are all of you looking at the main page? You're gonna raise a hand, anybody who's still struggling? So 1, 2, 3, okay. 4. Okay, so we're gonna wait like 5 minutes. There are some people who are still struggling to download Fusion. I do plan on doing demos while they're downloading, but I kind of want to time it properly. So by the time I finish the basic demos, their Fusion's ready, and they can kind of follow along with the more complicated ones. So I'm gonna give it 5 minutes. We're actually running really, really well on time. Typically, we download Fusion towards the later end of the class. We realized that was a horrible idea. It takes 30 to 45 minutes. So now we've basically gone through 75% of the slides, all while being done with the hardest part of the class. So it's looking like we're probably gonna be able to get you guys out of here in another 30, 45 minutes. So we're gonna start with some demos to show you the intro for CAD. Any of you have any familiarity with CAD? This is probably gonna seem very straightforward, but there are a good group of people in here who have never touched a CAD program before. So I'm gonna try to show you kind of what's going on under the scene and kind of trying to start from the ground up and building an understanding for CAD. All right, so I'm gonna open up my Fusion. Okay, so this is the basic interface for Fusion, just to kind of show you a highlight of the stuff that you need to know, right? That's kind of the model that we're gonna follow here in this course, is we're gonna show you kind of the basics, the highlights, what you need to know. The reason I like Fusion so much, again, it's so user-friendly, and just kind of learning through accident is a great way to learn, and it happens a lot, especially in a soft skill like this. So I'm just gonna show you, I can't show you everything on the screen, but again, I'm gonna show you the things that you need to know, and then maybe you'll accidentally stumble across some of the other things and learn some cool things that maybe we don't even know. So in the top left, right, is gonna be your taskbar. The first thing you're gonna see is this button with 9 boxes, and that is your data panel. This works pretty similar to the File Explorer on your computer. So if you need to make separate folders to stash your different projects, right up here, you can go to New Project. As you can see, I have a folder called CAD Training, right? So this button with 9 boxes in the top left corner, right, that works very similar to your File Explorer on your computer. This is your file management, where you're gonna be able to store files and recall them and pull them out. So right next to it, the paperclip button is your file button, right? So this is pretty self-explanatory. This is how kind of Word, Excel, any program runs. This is all your basic functions of starting a new design. If you want to export, import, save, this right here is the button for it. And then of course, you have your save button up here, just like a Word document. The first time you work with a file, you're gonna have to go ahead and save it. So down here is your actual screen for CAD. I made a couple announcements saying to bring a mouse if you do, and the reason I say that is using Fusion with a trackpad is an absolute nightmare. It is very, very difficult to do because to orbit and pan, rotate, zoom, it's very difficult with the trackpad. If you have physical buttons, it's a lot easier to move around. So trackpad or not, there is one solid universal way to move around the program, and that is up here with what looks like to be a little cube. So the reason we use this, right, this is called the view cube. Any 3D object has 6 sides to it, right? You can look at your laptop, you can look at your phone, hat, water bottle, right? There's a front, back, left, right, top, bottom. And if you look at the cube, that's exactly how it's labeled, right? Every 3D object has 6 sides to it, and this cube allows you to differentiate what side you're looking at, and it allows you to move and pivot between them. So if you click on any of the faces of the cube, you can drag your mouse around, and you can begin to pivot around your origin to get different views of what you're looking at. Additionally, if you just click on any of the faces, you will zoom to fit that face. So I can zoom to fit this corner, I can zoom to fit the front view, I can zoom to fit the bottom, and then in the top left, you're gonna notice this little house button, and that's to go to your home view, right? This is super useful. If you ever get lost, you zoom in too much, you slide over to the side too much, this is gonna be your go-to button to get a good orientation of what's going on in your screen. So that's one way that you can move around the screen, right? You can click and drag on any of these faces, you can pivot around. If you have a mouse, what you can do is middle mouse button down is pan, so you can move over side to side. Your mouse wheel is zoom in and zoom out. And then shift middle mouse button is to orbit, just like this. And again, if you have a trackpad, You can do some of them with the cubes, but if you can't do it with the cube, down here at the bottom, the first button on the bottom says orbit. And if you open up your drop down, you have, you have orbit all the way on the left. Move 2 over, that's pan, and then you have zoom, right? So if you have a trackpad, you're gonna have to use a combination of the bottom bar and the view cube to move around. But if you have a mouse, it's super nice because everything is compact and thrown all into your mouse, and you're able to do everything pretty quickly, pretty seamlessly. So we're gonna do a demo to explain kind of the basics of Fusion and CAD in general. How does it work? So I'm gonna pull open an image, right? So this is what a CAD drawing looks like. See if I can open this up in a new tab. Right, so this is what a CAD drawing looks like. As you can see in the top left is what the finished part looks like, and the other 3 drawings are 3 different views of that part, right? So the biggest one is your front view, then the one above it is your top view, the one to the left is your left view. And this is something that you would hand to a machinist so that they can manufacture this part properly. It tells you all the information needed to make this part. So how CAD works is CAD was developed, right? CAD stands for Computer Automated Design. CAD has been developed from what used to be pen and paper sketching. So that's all CAD is, but in a more evolved form. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a view. So in example, you could take this front view and you're gonna draw it out exactly how you do with pen and paper, and you're just gonna draw a simple 2D sketch, right? So you start off any CAD with a simple 2D sketch. You then leave your sketch and you go to your extrude button. That extrude button is gonna make it 3D. So that is rinse and repeat. That is the entirety of this course. You draw a 2-dimensional sketch, you leave the sketch, you extrude it, and you give it 3 dimensions. So following this picture, I'm gonna show you that there are multiple ways to draw any object. As I said, there are 6 different views to an object, so there are 6 different ways to start any sketch. So I'm gonna start on a blank page, and you don't have to follow any of this if you don't want to. This is just a demo to show you, right, just the basics of CAD. So I'm gonna try to draw this image from this view right here. So I'm gonna start from this, which is this left-hand side, and I'm gonna try to get to what I see up here. So I'm gonna start off in my plane. So you select the plane, and then the top most left button is create sketch. Now, if you notice, I put my mouse over it and this big pop-up showed up. Again, this is what makes Fusion so great. If you leave your mouse over any feature, there's a pretty good chance there's gonna be a pop-up explaining exactly what it is. So if you don't know what any of these do, again, just leave your mouse over it and this pop-up tells you exactly in pretty plain, simple English what is going on. So this first button is sketch. And like I said, this is what you do on pen and paper, right? You're gonna grab pen and paper on your screen and you're gonna draw a simple 2-dimensional sketch of what you want to be made. So I'm gonna create sketch, and you start sketches on faces. So by default, you're gonna have 3 planes. So this is your XY plane, this is your XZ plane, and this is your YZ plane, right? You need to start a sketch, right? Sketches are 2-dimensional. You start them on a flat surface, a plane, a face. So we're gonna start on this face right here. And again, I'm trying to make this from this side view. So I'm going to select my rectangle, right? Now all we're doing is selecting shapes and drawing them out on my screen. So I'm gonna select the rectangle tool. I'm gonna snap to my origin. It's always good to ground your parts. Don't draw them off into space. Always ground them at the origin. So I'm gonna start, I'm gonna click, I'm gonna pull away. Now I have a square shape, right? So now I have a 2-dimensional shape. As you can see, right, there is no depth to this shape. It only exists in this plane. It's simply 2-dimensional. I'm gonna push finish sketch, and now I'm gonna go to extrude, which is the button next to sketch, right? So you start off with sketch, make 2 dimensions, move over to the right, extrude, add your 3rd dimension. So now we're gonna extrude it, and we're gonna give it the depth of what this part actually looks like, right? So looking at it from the front, right, I'm trying to make this, so I'm missing, a couple cutouts, a couple holes. So I'll quickly go in and try to add those. I'm gonna do this pretty poorly as I'm just trying to prove a point. Right, so here would be like the 3 cutouts. This would be the bottom. And now I'm just gonna ignore the holes. So now I'm gonna cut these out. And again, you don't need to understand what I'm doing. I'm just trying to prove a point. All right, so pretty poorly done. Very poorly done. But right, so if I was trying to design that, you can see how I took that approach, right? I started from the side view, I extruded it lengthwise, and then I added the details. So for the theory of CAD, the best way to design parts is to start from the faces that have the most detail. So the best way to design this part is going to be this way. I'm gonna start a new sketch, and instead of starting from the side profile, which has no details to it, I'm gonna start from this front face, which has all the details to it. So if I start up another sketch, right, I can make the bottom piece, and then I can go ahead and make the top piece in one. Oops. I can go ahead and make that top piece in another. I can make the two cutouts, and then whenever I go to finish sketch, if I go to extrude all of this again, I was able to make the same part, again, really poorly done, but you see that I was able to do it in one less step, right? 50% more efficient. And that's what I was saying earlier about there really is no wrong way to CAD. There are just better, more efficient ways. So if you kind of grasp this concept a little bit, again, if you don't, that's fine. We're here for 5 weeks. You'll pick it up as we go, but you always want to start with the face that has the most detail. Start from there, and then as you keep on going, you want to try to add the most details in a chunk at a time until you're just going by small detail, by small detail, by small detail. So that, in the essence, is kind of the theory of what's going on behind CAD. Another good thing that I was taught by a mentor in high school is you always want to design with the end in mind. For these beginning projects, right, that's not going to be as important as we're making basic shapes, but when you start your final project, you should already know everything about your design before you start designing, because if you get to the end and realize you made a mistake, right, if you made everything dependent, right, meaning every feature is dependent on the last, and you made a mistake on your first feature, you go in, you change that feature, your whole sketch breaks, your whole model breaks. So those are the two really main things to understand, right? Try to start from the face with the most details and always try to design with the end in mind. Already have the solution in mind before you start working. All right, so by now, I hope, does everybody have Fusion installed on their computers? Anybody who's still waiting and still struggling? Okay, so we are very good for time. We are 50 minutes into the course. So this is how the chunk of the course is going to go, right? Today has a ton of lecturing because it's our intro course. I'm typically not going to ramble this much. I'm sorry you guys have had to hear a lot. But typically how it's going to go is about 25 minutes of talking, and then we're going to go straight into the demos. I'm going to burn through these pretty fast. I'm going to do it kind of a little bit slower than my normal pace. I'm going to show you, again, how I would design these. Your goal is just to sit and watch and kind of take in what I'm doing. So I'm going to do the assignments, and then we're going to allocate maybe 10, 15 minutes for you to do it immediately after us. And then again, you can call us over, ask any questions if you didn't pick up what we were doing. So we're going to start with this first assignment, which is creating very basic building blocks. So we're starting from square one, and we are going to be making a cube, a cylindrical prism, and a bridge. So opening up Fusion, we're going to open up a new design, and we're going to start off with our cube. So we're going to open up a sketch, and we're going to start on our ground floor. And right, we're going to try to start with the face that has the most details. It's a cube. It's completely symmetrical. They're all the same. So all we're going to do, we're going to make a rectangle. We're going to drag it out. And now's where I want to mention, right, we do not provide dimensions for anything in this class. What we look for is for you to create your own dimensions such that the form imitates what it's supposed to be. So this would be an acceptable option for a cube. Something like this, not so much, right? So this is just a little bit of common sense. We don't give you dimensions. I'm going to make some up. You can copy them if you'd like, but it's not held against you. Just use what you think is valid for the assignment. So I'm going to go, right, so we made this cube. Now we need to assign dimensions to it, right? What are the lengths? What are the parameters to this cube? At the top, you're going to see sketch dimension. So sketch dimension is used after you've made features on your screen, and this is to give, as I said, dimensions and actual properties to these shapes. So we're going to go to sketch dimension, and we want to give this a length. So we're going to click on the top line. We're going to drag up, and we're going to assign this a value of 1 inch. Quickly, I do want to say by default, your program is going to be in millimeters. So if you want to change it, all the way on the left side of your screen is document settings. If you open this up, you're going to see there's only one thing under the drop down, and that is the ability to change between units. Again, we don't really care what units you use in this class. We're always going to use inches, so if you just want to make it easier for yourself, I'd recommend changing over to inches, but if you want to use millimeters, that's all on you. So I gave the top value 1 inch, I'm going to give the side value 1 inch, and we now have a fully dimensioned cube. Notice the color, right? It's black. So I'm going to go ahead and make another cube over here, and notice the difference, right? One of them is black, one of them is blue. Black lines mean they're fully dimensioned, right? All of these points, right? Lines are made up of tons of points, all the endpoints, right? Everything on this path of the square is dimension, right? It has one set place in space. It's given a place from the X and the Y, right? If I were to click on any of this, I can't move it because it's fully dimensioned. But for this blue one, right, we don't have anything telling it where or what it needs to be. So you can notice that I can go ahead, I can move this up and down, I can pinch this out and about, I can rotate it, I can spin it. If it's blue, it means it's unconstrained and it's free to move around in space without any limitations. You always want to make your sketches black because that means you have fully defined all the parameters and it's locked in place in space. So gone ahead, made my bottom of the cube, it's fully black. I'm going to go ahead, push finish sketch, and now I'm going to go and push extrude. So I'm going to select the profile, and then I'm going to go ahead and select the distance, right? So I'm going to extrude this sketch how deep. I'm going to give it a property of 1 inch, so that way we have a nice clean cube. So next for the cylinder, same thing. We're going to start a sketch on the bottom plane. The cube's kind of in the way, so we want to get it out of the way. If you go over to bodies, right, this first body is the cube that I just made. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off so I can select the bottom plane. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn it back on, right? So if anything's ever in your way, go over to the side menu and you can turn things off so that you can reach areas that you normally can't. So now we are going to start off with a circle because we're making a cylinder, right? We could start it from the side, make it a rectangle, and then cut off the corners, but that's just probably wouldn't be the smartest thing to do. So we're going to start from the bottom. We're going to make a simple circle. We're going to dimension it. For circles, it's always going to be diameter. So we're going to give this a diameter of 1 inch. Finish sketch, same thing, extrude, and then we'll give it a height of 2. Right? You can either grab the arrow and pull, or just type in a value manually. We're going to push OK. And then we're going to do the bridge. So we're going to start off with a sketch, and instead of starting on the bottom, I'm going to start on this plane right here. And the reason I'm thinking about that is because if I go and pull up the slides, right, the most detail for the bridge is on the side profile. I want to start and look at the arc. So I'm going to try to start and make that profile so that I can get all the details included as easily as possible. So I'm going to create a sketch on this profile. I'm going to go out, and we are going to make a rectangle just for reference, and we'll cut away at it later. So I'm going to dimension the height for 1, and we'll dimension the length for 2. And now all we need is just to make that arc feature. So I'm going to go and create a circle. I'm going to snap it onto the bottom, and you'll see there really is no method to this madness other than creativity and how you see these things, right? This is how I see CAD. This is how I've developed my skills. So I'm going to click on the bottom. I'm going to make a circle like this, and now I'm going to use the trim tool, which is all the way up here, and I'm going to cut away the parts that I don't want. I don't want that. I don't want that. And now just like that, with using a rectangle and a circle, I've gone ahead and I've made a bridge. I should dimension it, but I'm not going to, just for simplicity's sake. I'm going to finish my sketch, and then we're going to go ahead and extrude that. And that is the first assignment. Only thing else that is left that we ask of you is just to add some color. So for that, again, the left side is where you're going to get all the information for this file. What we want you to do is to go to any of these bodies, right-click, and go to Appearance. There's a built-in library of appearances into Fusion. So you'll see there's some pretty cool stuff like leather, there's liquids and gases, plastics. For this class, we're just going to use paint because it's simple enough. But whenever you get to your final project, some of the other stuff, and you want to add some more cool appearances to it, this is where you're going to be able to get all that from, right? So we're just going to add some colors to all these shapes. Click, drag, we'll add a different color to all of these. And just like that, that is the first assignment. Pretty straightforward. We're going to do the hammer really quickly together. I'm going to go a lot faster, and then we'll give you just guys like 10 minutes to follow along and do it, and you can ask questions. So now we're moving on to the hammer, which is this assignment right here. So we're making a bottom handle, a top nub, and then the big actual like meat of the mallet, and then we're going to fillet off the sides. So made a new file. You can go up to the top left. You'll see there's a button that says New Design. It's this big plus sign. I'm going to go ahead and push that to make a new file. And then I'm going to start off with a sketch on the bottom. So now we're no longer making one solid uniform shape, right? We're stacking multiple shapes on top of each other. So you can really do this a multitude of ways. And again, this is the way that I see best fit. So I'm going to start off with the handle. I'm going to start off with a circle, and I'm going to dimension it to a value of, we'll say, 2 inches. I'm going to finish the sketch, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give my handle some length. We'll say 7 inches, which is okay. So now we need to make the head of the mallet. As I said earlier, you start a sketch on a face or a plane, you need a flat body. Anytime you make new bodies, you have now created. One second. Can you guys go around and turn all the TVs off and put them back on? They're about to all time out. It's whatever. Okay, so anytime you make new faces, anytime you make new features, you make new faces. So we now have 2 new faces that we can draw on. So we are going to start the head of the mallet from here. So I'm going to create sketch on there. And now we're going to go ahead and make the head of the mallet. What you'll notice at the top of all these taskbars is the most common tools. Some of the more niche but very useful tools are under the drop down. So for rectangle, instead of using 2-point, right, where you click on top left, bottom right, I'm going to go over to rectangle and select center. Right? So instead of going from left to right, I'm now going to go from middle out. So I'm going to click on the center, I'm going to drag out, and we now have a hammerhead. I'm going to give it a dimension. We'll say this is 10. We'll say this is 3.5. Finish sketch, extrude, and now that I have multiple sketches in here, right, I'm going to have to go and select what I want. Fusion's super user-friendly. All you have to do is just read the prompts. What is it asking me? What input do I have to give it? So profiles. What profiles do I want? Well, I want to extrude this, and I want to extrude this. And then, so we've selected what we want. Now we can give it some depth. So we'll give it 2.5. Join. I think this looks a little funny. So if you want to go in and edit, down here is your timeline. If you push play, it's pretty cool. It'll show you kind of how you've developed your part. And so I want to go in and edit this. I'm going to double click the sketch. I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. We'll make it 8. Push finish sketch. It updates in real time. Now I think this looks a lot better. So what we're going to do is we're going to round off the corners, right? If you notice the desk in front of you, right, the corners aren't super sharp. It's just a general safety thing for appliances. So you're going to round off corners, right? You don't want to leave sharp appearances. Sorry about that. We're trying to fix the screens. But we're going to add a fillet just to round off all the corners, which is this button right up here. So we'll select that. And again, just read the prompts. What is it asking of me? What values do I have to input into it? So now I'm going to select all of these sides for the hammer. And again, I'm just using a combination of shift and middle mouse button to pan around and select everything. So this is all sides of the head. And then we'll fill it in a little bit. That's too much. So I'll go in, we'll put in 0.2. And okay, that looks good. And then the last step, we're just going to add one final knob to the top. And that is this assignment. So we'll give you guys some time to follow up and do these on your own. I do want to say, right, we give you the rubric just so you know the bare bones of what's expected for you. You get out of this class what you're willing to put in. So for this assignment, this is all we're looking for. But if you want to go above and beyond, because I do understand some of you are a lot more experienced, if you want to design something more complicated, so long as you can hit all the points for the assignment, right, we'll give you the credit. I know some of you are going to be really into this, so we encourage you to go out and try to do more. You won't get penalized for it, but if you want to go ahead and try to make something more complicated, right, you have the bare bone requirement. If any of you want to try to make the ME263 hammer, we encourage it. But again, we only expect you to do what's on the rubric. So we're going to give you guys about 10-15 minutes to work on these 2 assignments. If you guys have any questions about what was just covered, I know we went fast, but this is something that you learn through trial and error. So just practice. If you're really, really stuck, call us over and we will help you out. Yes, 1 second. Just wanted to make an announcement about turning stuff in. So what we're expecting from you is in the Slack, you have an assignment submission form. So what we need you to do is use the snipping tool and capture the whole screen, right? Don't just screenshot your part, get the whole screen. We're gonna be a little bit nitpicky about this because if you just take small pictures of your part, it's pretty easy to cheat the class. So we ask you to take pictures of the whole screen. This is the only thing where we're gonna be really picky about and take off points for. Anything else, we're gonna let slide. So take pictures of the whole screen, throw it all into one Google Doc or one Word doc, save the PDF, you turn it in, and then we'll grade it and get it back to you guys by the next class.
I figured it out. You have to drag it from that box onto the object.
Is that so? Okay.
Thank you for your help, though.
No problem.
Oh.
How did you know?
Behind Ethan's.
Oh my god, that would have.
All right, see ya.
Check again, Richard.
Yeah.
That would have been. Thank you, Oscar.
It's like an $80 box.
I know. That would have ruined my life.
Oh god, it's better be noise. This is fine for this assignment. It's very simple, but generally, if you're making multiple, I would do it separately. It's just gonna get a little complicated. You have to space them out a bit for second thing. Try to space out multiple things for each of them. Whoops. Yeah. So, I know many of you are working, but just so we can kind of move this on forward, again, we still have 45 minutes. I'm going to show you how to do the last assignment in maybe 2-3 minutes. And the last 45, again, if you're done, you can already go. We've had tons of people leave. If you're still working, you now know how to do the last assignment along with the first two. So this last assignment that we have for the day is making a game piece using the revolve tool. So there's a lot of text on the screen. I'd pull it up on your own slides if you could. It's a better reference what's going on. But we're gonna make a game piece from scratch. So we're gonna start off with a new design. I'm gonna start off with a new sketch from here. So one of my favorite features in Fusion is called construction geometry. So if any of you have ever taken like a drawing class, you know you don't immediately go into drawing. Sometimes you do super thin lines to kind of map out where everything's gonna go. Because this translated from pen and paper drawing, right, there is a way to do that in Fusion. You can kind of set your boundaries and see what's going on before you start drawing. So we're gonna start off with the line tool, and over here is this button called construction, right? So this is gonna allow us to make super faint lines to kind of lay out what's going on before we start actually making our part. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna make a line in the middle, right? And you'll notice it's dotted, right? It's not our typical solid line. This one is dotted, and that, again, just allows us to kind of base references off of. So I'm gonna give it a dimension of 4, and we're gonna start making this profile that you see down here. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a rectangle, but I'm still in construction, right? So you can make a circle with construction geometry, and whenever you go to revolve it, it won't let you, right? Fusion doesn't see it as a closed body. Only the typical straight solid lines count as bodies. So we're gonna change it off from construction because now we're making stuff that we wanna make into matter. So we are going to make a bottom part for this chest piece. We'll dimension this 0.75, and we will give this a length of, we'll say 2. All right. Next, we're gonna go in and we're gonna use the arc tool. Again, the top is all the most common features. Some of the the less common ones are underneath, but they're very, very important as well. So you gotta know that they're here. That's the hard part. Not using them is, but knowing that they're there. So we're gonna use the arc tool, and we're gonna add a bit of an arc to our game piece, right? So we now have this box, an arc. We'll give it a dimension. We will say 0.2. Oops. 2. And then we will give a straight line, just like this. And then we're gonna go ahead and add a circle as our final part to our game piece. Right, so just like that. That looks good. We are gonna go, I'm gonna make this a little bit longer. And now I'm gonna go and use the trim tool. So I'm gonna cut off this part, I'm gonna cut off that part, and we'll cut off that part, just so we're left with this part of the piece. And you'll notice, right, everything here is still white. I'm gonna go and make another line. I'm gonna connect this. It turns blue, right? So you can only extrude solid shapes, right? Control Z, it's white. This is not a closed shape. We're missing a line over here. I know there's a line here, but it's construction geometry, right? It doesn't count. It's just for reference. So I'm gonna go in and add another line. Right? We close it off. It's now dark blue, and we are now allowed to make this into actual shapes. So we're gonna go to finish sketch, and instead of using this extrude tool and making something that looks like this, we're gonna use the button next to it, which is revolve. So we're gonna take this profile, and again, this is what makes Fusion so great. You leave your cursor over it, and it tells you what's going on. We are going to put our cursor over this, right? It tells us we're gonna take this profile, and we're gonna revolve it around an axis. So select. Again, just read the prompts. Profile, it auto-selected the only shape that we've made. It's a little bit intuitive. It figures out what you want to do. Next, we need an axis. So we're going to select the line that we first made. We revolve it all the way around. We've made pretty much an infinite copy of that infinitely thin line all the way around the axis. And now we have a full solid body that looks like this. So that's the final assignment for this class. The rest of the time is yours. I do want to go over the summary slide that we have at the end. I know a lot of people left, but I'm hoping that they can at least go through this. So just to let you know what's going on in this course, right? This is a 5-week course. We are here in Matthew 1:16 for weeks 1 through 4. Use your time wisely, right? We're students. We completely understand. If you burn through this class faster than we are able to teach it, you're able to go. Or if you still want our instruction, but you're working a little bit faster, you're more than welcome to do homework. The weekly assignments are due before the next session. We have that schedule in the slides so you can see exactly when everything's due. And we don't provide dimensions. Just create your own such that it resembles the form of what we're asking for you. We don't take late submissions, and that's only because we give such a generous period to assign. To finish the assignments, right, we have to get them graded all together in one unison so that we can keep the course flowing. We'll look into maybe extending the period for the final project, as that part is pretty tedious. Manage your time well. As the weeks go on, like I said, it gets harder exponentially. You'll be spending more time in class and outside doing the assignments, but again, nothing crazy. The final project is probably going to take the most time. That may take 1-2 hours. Everything else, maybe 20-30 minutes out of class. We give you the rating rubric, so you know exactly what is expected of you. If you want to do the bare minimum, go for it, but that's why the rubric's there. But if you want to expand and go above and beyond, you won't be penalized for trying to do more than what we give you, right? Just understand that if you hit the points, you're going to get the points, but you can always do more. Again, you need a 70% to pass the class. There's 300 points. 210 or above is a 70, and that is a passing grade and perfect attendance. Again, it doesn't all have to be in person. It can be a blend of in-person and virtual. And then use Slack. I apologize for spamming you guys' emails. That's the only time we're ever going to use email in this class. It already gets really hectic, all your emails from Purdue and classes. So instead, we're just going to spam Slack. That's where everything for this course is going to be. So that's where we will send you all the content. And then if you have any questions, comments, concerns, that's where you can reach out to us. We are done, but again, we do have another 40 minutes. So if you have any questions, just raise your hand. We're glad to come over and help you guys out. And this video will be posted on YouTube for you guys to recall and rewatch within the next 10-15 minutes.